This here is the Kia Syros and it's a very interesting car. It's a sub 4 meter SUV, so it gets all of the tax benefits that sub 4 meters get, but it has a singular focus: comfort. Now, a small footprint and comfort are very contradictory, but that is exactly what the Syros is trying to address with a bunch of innovative features. Welcome to Evo India and welcome to our first drive review of Kia's new SUV. We're going to be telling you everything you need to know about it, including styling, the interiors, the back seat. You want to stick around for that bit, the boot space, and even what it's like to drive. Before we go ahead though, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Evo India channel and leave a comment down below. What do you think of its oddball styling? I kinda like it. Let's start by talking about styling. This is slightly controversial when it comes to the Syros. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. It is very oddball, very unconventional, but I kinda like that about the Syros. Talking about the nose, it is very EV-like. There's no traditional grille. This is a complete solid panel, but you do have slats here and lower down for cooling. In terms of styling, it does look a little bit like the EV9 with these vertical headlamps in the corner and the chunky skid plates. It's from this angle that you really see the interesting side of the Syros. For starters, the boxy shape, the silhouette of it is very tall and very boxy. It's a lot taller than the Sonet, and also the wheelbase is a lot longer than the Sonet. So while the overall length remains under 4 meters, the wheelbase is 50 mm longer, the wheels have been pushed to the corners, and that has been done to free up space on the inside. Other interesting bits, you get flush door handles, and these are available right from the base variant. This top end variant gets 17-inch wheels, and lower variants will get 16s or 15s depending on which variant you choose. Ground clearance 190 mm, which is more than adequate for our conditions, and you get this black cladding that runs along the width of the car. The rear styling is odd as well. It's really vertical down the back. It's a very straight line over here, and again that's been done to maximize space on the inside. You get this spoiler up at the top, you get the shark fin antenna. The lighting elements are very interesting. You get these split lighting elements with one element up here and the second down over here. The tailgate, it's flat. You've got skid plates at the bottom, Syros badge over there. This is the diesel automatic, so you've got the auto badge over here, and overall it looks very interesting. Now, in terms of styling, I get that it's not to everyone's taste, but that's because everybody's been attuned to liking sporty looking, masculine looking, aggressive SUVs. This is a very fresh take on the segment, and when I first saw it, it reminded me of the very interesting K cars you see in Japan, stuff like the Honda N-Box, you know, really boxy cars, small cars, but focused on maximizing space on the inside with intelligent engineering. And that is really what appealed the Syros to me. And you're going to see a lot of that on the inside of this car. So let's head in there and check out the interior. When you step into the interior of the Syros, the first thing that stands out at you is this massive digital display. Kia is calling it its 30-inch screen, but actually it's 3 screens. You've got a 12.3-inch instrument cluster, you've got a 12.3-inch infotainment screen, and you've got a separate 5-inch screen between them to control AC functions. Also new is the steering wheel. It's got a 2-spoke design. The Kia logo is off center. You've got your drive modes and traction modes right here accessible with your thumbs, and it's a very interesting design. It's a global design that is now finally in India with this car, and it looks very cool. Not everyone's a fan of it. I think it's nice. You've got hard buttons, much appreciated for your infotainment screen, but you've also got hard buttons for your AC control. So if you don't want to fiddle around with the touch screen, you actually have all of the controls you need in here, except for maybe recirculation, which you have to get into the screen for. In terms of storage areas, this is very well thought out. Like I said, it's a sub 4 meter car, but the idea is to maximize space, and they've really done that. So you've got this big tray over here for your phone with a wireless phone charger. You've got a big pocket in here with 2 cup holders, or you can put the cup holders away and use it just as a regular cubby hole. You've also got a large storage bin in the armrest. Your door pockets can hold both a 1 liter and a 1.5 liter bottle. You've got your glove box, obviously. You've got a little storage area here for knickknacks, and you can also store stuff in the door handles. Being a Kia, you get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto in this car now. You get a wireless phone charger like I mentioned. You get a panoramic sunroof which stretches all the way to the back. Harman Kardon sound, 360-degree camera. Your seats are ventilated up front. And you also get electrical adjust for the driver's seat. Plus, you get an air purifier with a new button to turn it on and off right next to the driver. Step into the back seat and you realize that this is how much space you would usually have in a compact SUV. But the Syros doesn't only have this much space. Since the back seat is on rails, you can move it all the way back and free up this much space. It's really significant, the amount of space you have in here. But the space is not its only party trick. You can also recline the rear seat to a very comfortable recline angle. This is the most recline I've had in a conventional compact SUV or even mid SUV. I think only the MG Windsor has similar levels of recline. Otherwise, this is very comfortable. There's more. You get sunblinds over here. You get the panoramic sunroof that stretches all the way to the back, and you get seat ventilation in the rear seats. Now, it's worth noting that the seat ventilation is only on the base, not on the backrest, and that is because if they had to put a motor in the backrest, it would increase the width of the seat and it would defeat the entire purpose of putting it on rails. You wouldn't get the space that you need. But this is still comfortable, it still works very well, and it's a very nice back seat. Other stuff, you've got some controls for the air purifier over here. You've got your AC vents, you've got a little tray down here. You've got USB Type-C ports, and the passenger seat also has a little pocket for a phone. Overall, in terms of its back seat, the Syros sits head and shoulders above any other sub-4 meter SUV, and I'd go so far as to say that it's probably better than most mid SUVs as well. Now, in the same breath as that innovative back seat, we also need to talk about boot space. At its maximum, when the seats are pushed ahead, you have 465 liters, which is a fair bit. But you can also push the seats back, and then you get a little less space. You get 390 liters, which is still adequate for a couple of bags for the weekend. You get this tiny little parcel tray over here, and there's a gap over here because this can actually recline all the way back. So once it's reclined, then it sits flush with the seats over here, and you've got adequate space right up until the parcel tray. Of course, you can take out the parcel tray and get a little more space in the boot as well. Okay, so what is the Kia Syros like to drive? Let's talk engines first. You get two engine options. You get a 1-liter turbo-petrol, you get a 1.5-liter diesel. Now, these engines are exactly like you get on the Kia Sonet. The Kia Sonet gets a third engine, 1.2-liter naturally aspirated petrol, and the Syros does not get that engine option. You only get two engine options on this. Why? I think two reasons. One is the weight. This car is 150 kgs more than the Sonet, and it's expected to carry more people more of the time because it has got a clear focus on the back seat. So the power and the grunt of that engine would have been a problem, but I also think it has to do with positioning. This is not going to come in at the same entry level price as the Sonet. The Sonet will enter at a lower price, and it will do that because it has that more affordable 1.2-liter naturally aspirated engine. The 1-liter turbo petrol is interesting. It comes with both a manual and a DCT. The manual is not available on the Sonet. It's only on the Syros that you get a manual turbo petrol. And also this engine is E20 compliant. So interesting stuff there. But what we're driving is the diesel automatic. Now, it's great to see diesel still on sale. Kia is still championing because of diesels. And the diesel comes with two drivetrain options again, the manual and the 6-speed torque converter. Outputs, you get 114 bhp and 250 Nm of torque, which is plenty for a car like this. You can hustle it along quickly and it makes good progress. What I like about the diesel is that effortlessness that it brings in because it's so torquey at the low end. You do have a little bit of initial turbo lag, but once you're past that, you have such strong grunt and it's really enjoyable. Obviously, it's not a very high revving engine. These diesels are never very high revving, but that flat torque curve is very enjoyable for as long as it is on. Couple that to the 6-speed gearbox, which is super slick, super smooth. You really don't even feel the need to use the paddles when you're driving this 6-speed automatic with the diesel engine. Refinement is very good. Kia has said they've worked on the refinement compared to the Sonet and improved it for this car. So NVH levels, very, very good. In fact, even when we're cruising along at 70 kilometers an hour, the engine is ticking over at 1800, 1900 RPM. You step on the gas, it drops a gear, revs pick up to 2500 RPM, but it's still very silent and very contained inside the cabin. Diesels are generally noisy, but inside the cabin of the Syros, you're not going to be too annoyed by the sound of this diesel. It's very well contained. Road noise is also reasonably well contained, but you do hear a little bit of wind noise around the cabin. This is a very upright car, and I think that does cause some amount of wind buffeting around the windscreen, the mirrors and stuff like that, and you can hear it at highway speeds. The good thing about this diesel engine though is its fuel efficiency. You know, the ARAI claim figures for the manual are over 20 kmpl. For this automatic, it's a little over 17 kmpl. Obviously, the real world will be a little less than that, but it's still impressive figures, and diesels will always give you great fuel efficiency. Plus, it's a little more affordable, especially in states like Maharashtra. There is a delta between petrol and diesel, so your running costs are a lot lower with the diesel, and that just makes this so appealing as a drivetrain. As part of its changes, obviously tuning is slightly different from the Sonet. Gear ratios will be different from the Sonet. Again, because this weighs differently, because the use cases will be different, because it's expected to carry different amounts of loads, the gear ratios have been tweaked to suit the nature of this car. But overall, the drivetrain feels very sorted, very well-rounded, and I think it actually suits the nature of the car that the Syros is. This is not a Sonet. It's not a sporty car. It's not meant to go and carve corners and, you know, race at the drag lights. It's designed for comfort, and the diesel engine, it definitely provides that effortlessness that you would associate with a comfortable car. There's no revving the engine too high. There's no peaky torque and power characteristics. It's just nice, effortless, chugging along very, very smoothly. Now, the most important question that I think that needs to be answered with the Syros is ride comfort. Is that improved? And honestly, I think it has. It's a lot better than the Sonet. It rides with a sense of plushness to it. The springs, the dampers have obviously been tuned for better ride quality, so they haven't softened up, and that delivers great ride quality over average Indian roads, with bumps and potholes and undulations in them. The wheelbase has also increased, and that generally adds to a little bit of stability, especially when you're going over long wave bumps. It feels a little more planted. But I think it's the setup of the suspension that really does the trick here, and it just adds a layer of cushioning into the car and makes sure you are a little better isolated from the outside. I did feel that it is slightly crashy through certain types of bumps. So there was one particular bump which had multiple ruts in the road, and when I went through that at maybe 30-40 kilometers an hour, it just felt a little crashy. But otherwise, most bumps and most undulations are very well taken care of. And the good thing is that comfort is not at the expense of high-speed stability. We're doing 80 kilometers an hour right now on the Mumbai to Delhi expressway. Very comfortable. I can speed up to 100. Still very comfortable. You know, there's no sense of floatiness, there's no sense of uneasiness. The car feels very planted, very comfortable. This expressway has a speed limit of 120, so let's pull to that speed. There, 120, back into 6th gear, cruising at 2200 RPM. And as you can tell, it's still very planted. You do feel a little bit more of the road at this speed. There's just a little bit of vertical movement, but I think that's more the road than the car. It's very competent even at high speeds. Where the Syros does make compromises is in terms of handling. Now, all of that softness that they've engineered in here, the lengthening the wheelbase, all of that stuff means that handling is a little lazier than before. So when you turn the wheel in, it just doesn't react as sharply as you would expect a Sonet to. Plus, it rolls a lot more. So when you turn it in, you'll feel a lot of roll onto its side. The height of this car, I'm sure, has something to do with that as well. But the dynamics are not suited to outright handling. The ride comfort has been prioritized, and that means the dynamics have taken a hit. And that's all right. The nature of this car is for comfort, and its sole function is comfort. It has softened itself in all other areas, dynamics being one of them, and that is just a compromise that owners of this car are going to have to live with. In fact, I think owners of this car are going to not mind living with, because they are going to be focused purely on that backseat experience and are not going to be corner carving on the weekends. What I really like about the Syros is that no matter where you're sat, you're well taken care of. You know, up front over here, I have a very nice looking dashboard, very nice looking cabin. The plastics, they feel really good quality. They don't feel tacky or scratchy or cheap. Even this recycled stuff, you know, the tray on the wireless phone charger is recycled. This little bin over here for the cup holders is made of recycled plastic. But none of it feels cheap. It feels very good quality. It feels premium. And when you're sat here in the cabin, in the front seat, you feel like you're in a nice car. And the better part is, when you go to the back seat, you feel the same thing. You know, you have the space, you have the comfort, you have the luxury with the ventilated seats. You can recline and really stretch out. There's very few things to criticize about this car. I mean, if I had to really criticize it, dynamics, sure. But then again, this is not a car that's designed for dynamics, so it's not a fair criticism to make. Also worth talking about is level 2 ADAS. This gets ADAS. You've got your front collision warning, your front collision assist, lane keep assist, and all of the usual ADAS features that you would expect at this price point. You get a front radar, no rear radar, but that's par for the course in the sub 4 meter segment. After a day of driving this, sitting here in the driver's seat of the Syros, I can't help but admire what Kia has done. It's a brave step to do something like this. It's not been done before, but I think it had to be done, and I think it's important that it has been done. This car, it really represents the true potential of what the sub 4 meter segment can mean. It's really pushing boundaries of what is possible in this segment. If you have a clear focus, a clear vision, and a clear understanding of what the product should be. It is not trying to be too many things. It's not trying to be sporty and comfortable and dynamic and look good and be an SUV and have off-road capability. It's not trying to do any of that. It has one focus, comfort. And the packaging has been focused towards that. The drivetrains have been focused towards that. And the features on the inside and the ride quality have been focused towards that. They've really put comfort as their pole star and honed in completely on that. It makes me happy to see that there's real innovation happening in this very Indian segment, the sub 4 meter segment, rather than just the same SUV being made by different companies in different ways and with similar dynamics and similar features and similar everything. This is a very fresh take. It's a very refreshing take, I would say. And coming away from this drive, I'm very, very happy. You know, I think we need more cars like this on Indian roads. We need cars that break convention, that do things differently, and that reinterpret the same rules but give you something completely new. I mean, when we look at Formula One and we look at the best cars in its history, they have been done when the same rules have been taken and applied very differently. And that's what Kia has done here. They've taken the same rules, sub 4 meters, under 1500cc diesel engine, and packaged it in a manner that feels nothing like a sub 4 meter SUV that we know. Honestly, hats off to Kia. And if you're in the market for something small and your focus is comfort and space, look no further. The Syros is exactly what suits the bill. Overall, I've come away from this review very, very impressed with the Kia Syros. It has no pretense of being sporty. It doesn't even look sporty. It doesn't even drive sportily. And it doesn't make any compromises to be any of those things. Its focus is on comfort and it delivers that in space. On the inside, plenty of features, great ride quality and a great back seat. I'd go so far as to say that this is probably the most comfortable sub 4 meter car on sale in India today. This is really India's K-car moment, where you're getting innovative designs within a certain footprint to give customers great value. We don't know prices just yet, but I expect it to slot between the Sonet and the Seltos in Kia's lineup. Starting prices could be around rupees 11 lakh rupees, going all the way up to 17.5, 18 lakh rupees for the top end diesel automatics. At that price though, it would find itself in a very interesting niche, competing with the likes of top-end sub-4 meter SUVs as well as entry-level mid-size SUVs. And the best thing is, this car has the chops to take them all on.